Okay, so we have Paul Atreides from Dune playing a young Willy Wonka. Let's see how this goes. Hey Jack Benner, I'm Movie Buffs. Nope, scratch that, reverse it. Hey Movie Buffs, I'm Jack Benner, and welcome to my final review of 2023 for Wonka. Wonka is the latest prequel to the 1971 classic directed by Paul King starring Timothee Chalamet. This story follows a young and poor Willy Wonka, played by Timothee Chalamet, dreaming of opening his own chocolate shop but is challenged by the greedy chocolate cartel. Now, the 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is both one of my favorite musicals and films of all time, with unforgettable songs. Who can make the sun rise? Sprinkle it with dew. The Candy Man can. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Okay, I'll just stop singing right now. There are just so many classic and memorable songs in the original. I'll stop there. And of course, an iconic performance from the late great Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. And that still remains one of, if not my favorite musical performance in any film. Then we got a remake that came out in 2005, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, directed by Tim Burns, starring Johnny Depp. I don't hate that movie, but do I think it's inferior to the classic? Absolutely. Visually, in terms of production design, I do think it is better than the original. And what holds that remake back, in my opinion, was a bland child performance of whoever played Charlie. The songs are just not as memorable as the original. And oh my god, that freaking Willy Wonka, the amazing chocolatier. Oh my god, every time I hear that song, it just gets on my nerves. And that song is like fingernails scratching down a chalkboard. It's so annoying. Just get it out of my head, please. And Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka, it's one of my least favorite Depp performances. I just felt like his Wonka just came off as too immature and childish and just got a bit irritating, and not a fan of Depp's Wonka. Now, when a prequel on Willy Wonka's origins was announced, I was skeptical, because I do prefer the mysteriousness behind Gene Wilder in the 1971 original, and I wasn't really sure if a prequel was necessary. But when Paul King of the two Paddington movies was attached to direct this film, I started to reserve my doubts. And I love the two Paddington movies he's directed. The first Paddington movie I found to be a heartfelt surprise. I remember seeing the trailers for that and I just thought, I'm not sure about this. Then I watched the film and I thought, that was a heartwarmer. And Paddington 2 I think is fantastic and even better than the first. But what was a big selling point for me was Timothee Chalamet cast as Willy Wonka. Over the years, I love Timothee Chalamet. I think he's a young and terrific actor. Certainly one of the best young actors we have in Hollywood. Technically, Interstellar would sort of be the first film I noticed him in, but he wasn't well known at the time. It wasn't until 2017 to early 2018 I started to notice him fully and discover his talents as an actor. In films such as Lady Bird, which he was great in, his Oscar-nominated performance and won the youngest Best Actor nominees for his excellent performance in Call Me By Your Name. And after that, he's been continuing to impress me in more films such as another Greta Gerwig-directed film, the 2019 version of Little Women he was great in, and Paul Atreides in Dune Part 1 he did an absolutely fantastic job in. And that reminds me, we were supposed to get Dune Part 2 this year, but that got pushed back due to the SAG-AFTRA strike, to which, But luckily, the SAG-AFTRA strike is over. Dune Part 2 is coming out in spring, so I can't wait for Dune Part 2. So I was looking forward to seeing how he would do as Willy Wonka. How would he make it his own and show off his musical chops? I was a bit cautious, but my hopes were starting to increase, and I was looking forward to seeing a trailer. And when the first trailer came out, I was impressed how charming it looked. From Timothée Chalamet's promising performance and the vibe of the film, it did indicate hope that this prequel was in good hands. And it was one of the films I was most looking forward to for the rest of 2023. And I saw Wonka 2 weeks ago optimistically, and I'm happy to say I really liked Wonka, and I found this to be a charming and delightful prequel. Let's start this review with the pros. First, Timothée Chalamet definitely had big shoes to fill, but after watching the movie, he achieves successful results, and I thought he was the perfect choice to play a young Willy Wonka. He is fantastic here as Wonka. Granted, I don't think he's as good as Gene Wilder, but was he better than Johnny Depp? Oh, absolutely. And I'm positive that this role cements his talents even more as an actor. And I found this to be a nice change of pace to see him in a whimsical role. After he's been doing an excellent job in multiple dramas, it was nice to see him in this type of role. He did exactly what he should do by making it his own, showing off his singing and musical chops with his great singing voice and dancing skills. On top of all that, he captures the charisma, energy, zaniness, mannerisms, optimism, creativity, and ambition of a young Willy Wonka. All together make for an interesting and fresh take on the character. And watching his performance, he did have a bit of Gene Wilder-isms in him that I could tell, okay, I can see this being the younger Gene Wilder Willy Wonka, but for the majority of the film, he does make it his own and stands out. And with his mannerisms, I don't think he goes too over the top where he's overdoing it like Johnny Depp is. I feel like his performance was just right at what he needed to do, and I thought he succeeded. And I feel like his costume was appropriate for this version of Wonka, since this Wonka is poor and trying to make more money and sell chocolate. And I was very interested to see how Paul King, after coming off the two Paddington movies, would handle this Willy Wonka origin story and how would he direct the musical number, since this film is a musical. And I thought he did a great job directing it. He carries what he succeeded with the Paddington movies and carries it over to his Willy Wonka origin movie. From the aesthetic, whimsical nature, quirkiness, and the emotion and heart, it's all intact, making for a delightful film. This is a very well directed movie, from the fantastic set design and costumes. Mostly, King did an excellent job crafting and staging entertaining musical numbers that are fun to watch with great choreography. And catchy songs, I don't know how memorable they will be compared to the original, but they're definitely more memorable than the 2005 remake. And I was thinking to myself whenever I heard the songs, yeah, I could see myself listening to this song more often. I was tapping my foot along to them, I was really enjoying them. And as for the origin story, I thought he handled it quite well. Showing Wonka as this optimistic dreamer trying to open his own chocolate shop, the friends he makes, the challenges he faces along the way. And I feel like they handled the origin just right, showing where he came from and how he came to be, without tarnishing the mystery of the character, which I admire. Why he's passionate about chocolate and wanting to share his creativity with the world. Something prominent about the Paddington films is intact here with the heart and emotional core. I feel like that solidifies Paul King as a great director who knows how to make enjoyable and heartwarming family films that are just wholesome. And that reminds me, he should be the go-to director for wholesome family films from now on. And with the emotional core, I love the friendship between Wonka and this orphan girl, Noodle. I thought it was a touching and developing friendship with terrific chemistry between both of those actors. And I do want to give credit to the actress who played Noodle. I thought she did an excellent job playing off of Timothee Chalamet and their chemistry. I love seeing them get to know and help each other. It was all great to see. And even with Willy's backstory with his late mother, played wonderfully by Sally Hawkins in her limited screen time, how she was his main inspiration for selling chocolate and following his dreams. And there were some scenes in the third act that definitely hit me in the feels. I was just like, this movie's getting me. Just Paul King, just the Paddington movies, they made me feel good, and this movie's making me feel good. They're just so wholesome, man. And not to mention, we got a really good supporting cast here as well. I never thought I would see Hugh Grant play an Oompa Loompa, but I'm glad I did. I wonder how Paul King got Hugh Grant to play an Oompa Loompa. I wonder if it was like, hey Hugh, I worked with you on Paddington 2. I'm making a Willy Wonka origin movie. Would you like to play an Oompa Loompa? Sure, why the hell not? And he was very funny for the scenes he was in as an Oompa Loompa. Just how witty and his dry sense of humor and his back and forth banter with Timothee Chalamet was just great. And we got other supporting cast from Keegan-Michael Key, Rowan Atkinson, and also Olivia Colman as one of the villains, Mrs. Scrubbit, who runs a boarding house that Willy Wonka stays in. And she looked like she was having a blast in this role, just playing this cruel, greedy, and ruthless person. Oh my god, she looked like she was enjoying every minute of playing this character. Sadly, I do have some flaws with this movie. I will get to those right now. First, one of my issues with Wonka are the villains. I do feel like this movie was a bit overstuffed with villains, where I feel like it's too many villains in this movie. Just from Mrs. Scrubbit and her henchmen, Keegan-Michael Key as the chief of police, Rowan Atkinson as a priest, and mainly the trio of the greedy chocolate cartel that are trying to prevent Willy from selling chocolate in the town. And sometimes the cartel can be a bit cartoony villains. They're just snooty British villains. No, we cannot have this young man selling chocolate to our town and feeding it to everyone, and he's just so weird, oh, we don't like him, we want him out. They're just a very snooty British villains, And one of the members of the cartel can't even say the word poor unless he like throws up. There's like, that's how cartoony these villains can kind of get. Second, while I really enjoyed Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa, I did feel like he was a bit underused where I wanted more of him. I did feel like they sidelined him a bit. And another actor, while Keegan-Michael Key was funny in this movie, I usually like him, I felt like as the film went on, they just made him a running fat joke. And the cartel are trying to use him to keep Willy from selling chocolate, and they don't even bribe him with money. They bribe him with chocolate. And every piece of chocolate they give him gets bigger and bigger, and he starts to eat more and gets fat. At first, I was like, okay, this is funny. But the more they do it, I was just like, okay, this is starting to get a bit tiring, honestly. In conclusion, while it doesn't quite come close to the greatness of that 1971 classic, Wonka still maintains as a pleasant, charming, and delightful prequel. And after I watched the movie, it left me smiling, and it's definitely a feel-good movie. Timothee Chalamet does an absolutely fantastic job as Willy Wonka. Paul King did a great job handling the origin story for the character. The musical numbers are excellent, and it's got a great heart. If you haven't seen this movie and would like to see it, I would definitely recommend this movie to fans of that 1971 classic and to see how this prequel is. Or if you admire Chalamet as an actor and excited to see him in this role, I would definitely recommend this movie to you. I thought he did an excellent job in the role. And also, if you're looking for that feel-good, optimistic movie, go see Wonka. I definitely felt like this was the feel-good movie of this holiday season, and it came out in the right time in December, and it was refreshing to see this pleasant, feel-good movie amidst all these Oscar contenders. Again, not quite as good as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but definitely an improvement over the 2005 remake, that's for sure. And one thing I learned from Wonka, don't doubt Paul King, especially after his two great Paddington movies. And now to grade it, I'm going to give Wonka 4 stars out of 5, a B+. I'm very satisfied with how much I enjoyed Wonka, and definitely want to give credit to Paul King and the cast and crew for doing a great job with the origin story. So I'd like to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Wonka if you've seen it? Do you agree, disagree with my review? Or if you haven't seen it, are you looking forward to seeing the film or not? Let me know down below. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie and want to see more reviews like this in the future? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here, and don't forget that notification bell for my next upload in the future. It really means a lot. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review. And that is my last review for 2023. I love making videos this year and continuing to make more and share my passion for movies. Thank you all so much for watching my videos this year and supporting the channel. It really means a lot. I appreciate every single one of you. You guys are the best. Truly awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for a great year on the channel, and I can't wait to bring you more videos in 2024. Looking forward to the new year. Have a safe and happy New Year's Eve, everyone.